Welcome to episode 14 of the Global Exclusive Podcast. I'm your host, Hazard. This week you're joined by Bharos.
I'm actually awake.
Cotton C.
What is Valkyrie Poopfile and why do the units suck so badly?
Dreamblitz.
This is the most skippable week in the last few months.
Muspel.
I hate this week so much.
Shadowwalker.
I pulled on this banner.
What?
God,
Yeah, I can't wait to hear that story.
He's taking
why?
the throne from Bharos.
Oh god.
Every week I see new units from my whale friends and I pray for their souls because I have no idea how they afford all this crap. Well, this week we've got the Valkyrie Profile Banner Part 2, and we also have Valkyrie Profile Enhancements, which have got the community really excited.
No, they fucking don't.
It's one word for it.
We've also got the news about the Neovision's new rarity / abilities and everything else, so we'll talk about that. And Muspel's got our sponsor this week.
Have you ever worried about pulling on a banner and been concerned that you might not get someone good? Well, then the Valkyrie Profile banner is the right place for you. Spend your lapis here, and you won't have to wonder, because every unit you'll get will be terrible. Valkyrie Profile. Get fucked.
Oh man. It's also so true.
Oh yeah, she's pile driver.
Alim got lazy and released carbon copies.
Sorry, Hazer.
There we go.
So we're back.
And we're back.
We're back to 2016.
Remind me why you put again, Shadow.
Oh, well, it's a long story, but to put it short, it was like I got a free Lenneth from the raid, and I was like, cool. So I used a few tickets to get Aelia, you know, the 4-star unit.
Yeah.
The armor TMR.
Yeah, she actually has a good TM.
And she's literally the best unit in the banner, and I wanted her TMR, so I used like 4 or 5 tickets. I got Lazard before that. So I got a Lazard, and I'm like, okay, I have a Lazard and a Lenneth. That means if I do on the 5k pull, there might be a chance that I get a 7-star, and I do that, and I get a Mystina, and so now I'm left with one of each.
Oh dear.
And I used
So
more
when we
tickets.
take notes, your system is actually working. You fucked over Shadow just the way it was supposed to do.
I pulled for 2 Alias and I got an Arngrim along the way. So now I feel really bad.
I actually also pulled for Aelia all of my tickets, but got 3 of the... Wait, what is his face? The other 4-star on the banner. And 0
Lucian?
Alias, unfortunately. Yeah, Lucian. So I got 3 of him, and I already have like 3 of his TMR. So yeah.
Screw you all, because if I hadn't come to this podcast, I wouldn't have known about this TMR, and now I have to pull.
It's an armor with Dragon Killer.
With 50% Dragon Killer, alright.
Yeah, so it's decent. Yeah, I'm gonna say also it has a bit low attack, so it's not going to be the best thing in the world. Also, not all units can wear heavy armor.
Yeah, but like if you need to kill dragons.
It's gonna be nice for Dark Visions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, in that case, I'm definitely not pulling. Screw Dark Visions.
If you need Sid to jump on dragons, this is his best armor.
That's true.
I did pull ahead of Dream at the very end, by the way.
Yeah. Well, I pulled ahead of you just before, and then you pulled ahead of me again. So the overall standings did not change.
Yeah.
Shadow was still last, though. I guess is
Yeah,
why.
beat on Shadow. Like the man literally just pulled on the shittiest banner in history. Like don't make him feel worse.
Okay, but I'm amazed that me and Dream are like 100,000 points below Bharos, Cotton, and Muspel, so they must have just had all the right units and a lot of skill, or who knows.
I just couldn't beat Bharos. He has all those limited units because he pulls on all those banners.
He did have all of them.
I couldn't beat Muspel and Bharos because they have freaking redacted. I refuse to omit that, okay? It's
I
still a
don't
matter
have
of
redacted.
principle.
What do you mean? I don't have Shu.
Shoo.
Shoe win.
Yeah, I was using Elena and Aurora Freya.
Yeah, but that's different. You're a whale.
It sounds like you need to get good, Cotton.
If you use Shoo Win, Shoo Win.
Oh my god, Hazard. I hope Lemon mutes everybody but a Hazard, because that joke was hilarious.
Yeah, you guys missed it. That's fine. Let's move
Wait,
on.
what I
What do you say?
I'm
Okay,
sad I
say
missed
it.
If you guys aren't so busy talking over each other, maybe we'll actually listen to people.
Are you trying to stop the
You
Cotton?
guys should know that as soon as I start talking, that it's the most important voice you're going to hear. So shut up.
Yeah, true. We should just actually, you know what? Isn't there a thing on Discord we can just have Hazard at 300% volume and everyone else at 50, so that when Hazard speaks, it's just unmissable?
That would be so painful.
Just a booming aura.
But I'm gonna say, like, you know how we usually kid about the Valentine's banner being shit? Well, actually, you know what? Turns out that Big Hard is amazing for DV, and also turns out actually that Sakura and Ayaka are amazing for DV because their chains actually do damage. So that was a lot of fun.
So we're like 5 minutes into the podcast, and we haven't talked about VP at all, but talked about Dark Visions the whole time.
Yeah, we're talking about the more interesting thing that's like already a week old.
Welcome to the Dark Visions exclusive podcast.
Now, shall we get into the actual banner?
Oh, can we not?
Unfortunately, we do have to. So first up, for the new units, we do actually have a very strong mage. They've got permanent triple cast, mystic cross frames for 3 elements, I think fire, dark, and one other one.
Chaos Wave, Awaken.
Chaos Wave, mystic cross. It's the same thing. And then, yeah, they've got 5-turn cooldown for, like, implying Imperials. Unfortunately, doesn't have full uptime, just because JP doesn't know how durations work, apparently. And then they've got, like, an elementless chain that buffs their magic, and they can keep that up every 3 turns. Their gearing's a bit of an issue, because they only have 100% true double hand and no dual wield. But overall, they're pretty strong.
Now, what's the name of this unit? Because you haven't said yet.
Well, it's both of them.
Alim got lazy and released carbon copies.
The stronger one is Lizard Man.
Is it Lizard or Lizard or?
I would say
I keep
Lazard.
calling him Lizard.
I'm just gonna call him Lizard Man.
I want to call him Lazard because that's the name of the police. What is his title? I don't know. From Police Academy. You guys are too young to watch Police Academy, but it's a great comedy. Inspector Lazard, I think. Whatever. Fuck you all.
Yeah, so Lazard and Mystina are just very standard mages with very standard kits. Lazard is stronger. Mystina is mediocre by modern standards, which means she's ahead of like 90% of units in the game, but she's still like 8 billion damage per turn behind the top units. And she's a mage.
And Lizard does have a few innate killers, 75% for humans, fairies, and undead, but it's like, that's not a big deal, really. It's just a drop in the bucket.
I mean, like, for DV, that can be a huge thing, though, I'm going to say.
Mages with quad casts are generally not a good fit for DV because their casts cancel before you get to the later ones.
I mean, these guys are triple, so it's not so bad. But yeah, they'll still probably only get 2 casts.
And we're going to get to this later on the pod, too, about how mages are actually incredibly bad. So I think we should save that.
We might not get to that topic, Shadow, depending on time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm not sure we have much to talk about.
Yeah, that's pretty much.
Yeah, we're done with the new units.
The new units covered in one fell swoop.
And I really.
Yeah, and one thing that I disliked
How
about...
long did that take? 3
Jesus
minutes?
Christ.
Sorry.
No. It's fine. It's like...
No, hold on. You guys do that again, but this time let's add cotton.
Choo choo.
But seriously, there's nothing for the cotton train to go on today because the units are seriously mediocre. Like,
Yeah.
Lazard and Mystina have practically half their kit copy pasted. I mean, they both have fire lance, they both do lightning bolt. Well, no, they both do fire lance and shadow servant. They both have what? Firestorm and Dark Savior. They both have. I mean, like, they even need to name the skills Fire Lance Mystina and Fire Lance Lizard, whatever, just to differentiate them. I mean,
presumably that's because of source material, but whatever.
Also, their sprites, Lazard kind of looks like Pain, and Mystina looks like Magitek Warrior Terra.
Yeah, that's actually not a bad comparison, to be honest.
Magitek Warrior Terra looks better than that.
Lazard and Mystina, I think, like, in the original VP game, which is actually a great game, people should play it. I think they had, like, the same teacher or something like that, so they are supposed to be very similar mages, and if I remember it correctly in the game, they were quite similar too. So yeah, it makes sense that they have copied kits. And it's also a bit shameless because they are going to be very good partners for one another for
So
DD.
you're saying that they should have been a dual unit, a Lizard and Mystina.
No.
Oh gosh.
But yes.
No,
I was
dual
gonna say
units are
that
bad.
they have perfected the laziness because usually there's like a troll rainbow and a good rainbow. Now they've just made one unit into two different units on the same banner. So
But they're
you
both
might
troll.
but they're both troll, and you might pull one of each, and then you'll be screwed.
Yeah, because like if you look at it from like if you're looking at if you actually have good mage gear, then it's like they're just not even the. I would expect limited mages to at least be the best mages in the game, and like they're close, but they're not quite there.
At minimum, the best.
I mean, yeah, it's a limited banner. They should be, right?
No,
Because you never know if they're gonna get actual enhancements again. Yeah, it's like limited banner should be better.
Good. Shame on the people that pull unlimited banners. They deserve all the misery they get. Sorry,
You see,
Bharos.
this is
Nothing
why
personal.
Full Metal Alchemist is the best limited banners because the units are actually good right
Yeah, but
now
for how
without
long?
any need for enhancements.
Well, but most of the limited banners have been decent at the time. It's just how long they last is the question.
I think Edward is gonna always be an exception just because of his versatility.
I don't know. I mean, when Kuja comes out and does 120 billion damage per
Well,
turn,
Kuja is still another like 10 months away, so it's like that by that point
which is
anything released.
usually when you get enhancements. Speaking of enhancements, Muspel.
First up, we have Lenneth. You know that training family that everybody loves, Pile Driver? What if it was even worse? What if you had to cap your own Pile Driver chains and you had to spark chain with a moving chainer so that you can't even do it properly on some enemies? Doesn't that sound like fun?
It does, Muspel.
And in exchange for dealing with this clusterfuck and having to find a friend that actually uses her and needing to use probably a dark, like, she's probably mostly locked to dark because, and then you need, I think, an external imperil, right?
No, she does imperil for herself now.
Right, yeah, I tried to block her kid out of my memory. So yeah, you're probably stuck with only Killer Bow as your real option, unless you want to run an external imbue, but there's like what, two units that have dark imbues?
One non-limited unit with dark imbue.
Yeah, it's not good, and her damage is unimpressive.
You could external light as well.
They really didn't change her frames.
Nope.
They really kept Pile Driver.
Yep.
Oh yeah, she's Pile Driver.
This entire enhancement batch is basically copy pasted from JP.
Oh my god!
Yeah, just wait and save that. They
Hazard.
didn't change your frames question for the next character too.
Hazard, I'm working my way down. Lenneth is the best of the three.
That's so true.
Let me get my. Hold on. Let me
Wait
get
until
my
you
popcorn.
hear about Freya. Wait until you hear about Freya.
Give me 2
Actually,
minutes.
and I'm not gonna agree with that. I don't think Lenneth is the best of the three. I think Arngrim is the best of the three. But yeah, let's get to that.
Oh no, wait until Muspel gets to Arngrim, okay? I'm sure he has things to say.
There's one final side note about Lenneth that is highly important. She does more damage than Esther.
There we go.
There
we go.
That is important. Because there are units on this banner that do less damage than Esther. I guess that should be noted.
What happened to Enhancement Guy? He used to be the best person at designing units in the game.
Enhancement guy got coronavirus.
Cotton, I got an answer for this. Okay, ready? We had 2 different batches of enhancements this month. So what happened is that his man hours were stretched, but he was still being paid the same. So the enhancements guy said, fuck it, and copy pasted all of JP. So everything that we got this month has been terrible. Starting with Esther.
Yes, but Esther!
Starting with Esther. It's Gumi's fault for aligning multiple enhancements in 1 month. He got angry.
I mean, Elephant was pretty decent, and Sylvie wasn't bad.
Elephant was a copy paste. So
No, Elfham got a bunch of extra.
He ran out of time when he hit Esther.
Our time is up.
Anyways, for Arngrim, imagine that you took Noctis's kit and then you just made it like
Bad.
3 times worse. He does about as much damage as Noctis on paper, but he's element locked to fire, and not even like because he has his move is locked to fire, because he has a chance to imbue himself on a counter. Which is very stupid.
Just let that sink in.
Yeah, like it's either you do stuff with him turn 1 or you just don't use that unit.
And in addition to that, his moves use swing animations. It's about like 4 or 5 seconds from his first hit to his last hit, So a lot of chains aren't going to be able to fit that at all. Like, you can fit some of it, but not all of it.
That's what she said.
And so he ends up being even worse than Noctis.
Oh my god, Hazard, what the hell? You would have banned me if I said that in chat. But here you are.
But what did he say? I didn't even hear it.
Man, you guys are missing all my good stuff tonight.
What did he say?
Yeah, you have to repeat it now.
No, Shadow's the only one listening.
I heard it.
Shadow, what did he say? Shadow, what did he say?
You can find out on the edit.
Yeah, when Lemon edits the pod, it's gonna be like crisp and nice.
I
We're
know,
gonna
but
hear
like
it.
the duplicity from here, like he bans people who say bad words, and now he's.
And then there's Freya.
Oof.
Muspel, do you wanna maybe repeat how you described her chaining in Wiki Ratings?
A filthy, incestuous hate fuck of frames.
Yeah.
Alright, where's my band hammer?
Hey, Muspel, did they change her frames for her enhancements?
No, they didn't. And they really, really needed to. So Freya has triple cast, and her moves all have different frames. And when you cast all three moves, then their frames mix up together, like right next to each other. So you have to spark chain her. And they're all non-elemental, so if you don't spark chain, then you lose tons of damage, even aside from the fact that the chains break. And if you look at her chains, you have one spot where you have her first cast hit, and then her third cast, and then her second right after each other. And then later in the chain, you have a hit from the first cast, followed by the second cast, followed by the third cast. So not only are they hitting right next to each other, but they're hitting right next to each other in different orders. And her damage is lower than Elena.
Ooh, and Elena's terrible, Nexus. Shut your face, Nexus. Suck it, Nexus.
Lower than unsupported Elena.
Yeah, weird. I used Elena for like most DV trials. I got the best score on the pod, just saying.
Yeah, she does around 10 billion damage per turn.
Slightly less, I think.
Yes, but Muspel, what about her limit burst? Like, it's 58 times magic damage to a single enemy.
Yeah, no, that's worse than her skills.
And I'm sure that some people are thinking, well, what if you use her as a finisher? Well, remember, she has multiple hits very close together. She will break your chains.
Somehow.
If you try to use her as a finisher. I think that unless you count, like, Lovely Katie or Immortal Knight Garland, I think that Freya is the worst unit that has come out in FFBE since, I want to say, like, Livid Shantoto. Maybe Chin. Chin was bad, but at least Chin was, like, bad in a way where you could kind of see what they were trying to do.
Original, not enhanced.
Muspel.
Yes, original Chin.
What about Kaito?
Kaito.
Yeah, and they really... And the thing is, all the things you're describing about Freya right now, this could be like a podcast from the original VP banner, because she had all of these flaws on the original banner. Her only saving grace back then was that her LB... Well, her LB is still strong, but like back then, I guess it was one of the strongest. It was like a 45 mod on an LB. It was unheard of. It was ridiculous.
Sorry, I forgot something really important. Freya can't equip weapons. She doesn't have any innate TDH or TDW, so you have to give her Crow as TM so that she can equip a Rod. And then you have to gear her for a lot of magic TDH so that her stats don't suck. Which means that as soon as you have to slot in any killers, her damage just plummets because she loses tons of magic. Way more, like, mages already have this problem in general. Freya has it worse than any of them. Her gearing is worse than Roy Mustang's.
Wow.
What I don't get is, it would have been so cheap and simple to just give her the 3 abilities that you enhance so she gets damage on them. Just give them frames, you know? Like, at least, like, okay, don't even give them elements. I don't care. Just give them frames. Or enhance her triple cast to be able to triple cast as many, although that wouldn't actually make sense, because the reason why the triple cast works like that is because that's how the Valkyrie profile of the game works. So it should stay like that, I guess.
I mean, look, Freya has one shining point. She has a 0 turn duration, so the 80% spirit break. So the break only lasts for the turn itself. I guess if you really want a strong spirit breaker for Dark Visions and you don't have someone like Edgar or Riku or Locke or whatever, you could use her.
It's not worth the slot.
Yeah, but then you have Ultima that does what she does, but better. Because Ultima's break is, well, 1 turn. So she could actually, like,
What is an Ultima?
Chaos Wave Chain for the upcoming term.
It's Ultima.
I thought we weren't doing pronunciation work.
You already are.
No.
Wait, how is
I'm
it
breaking the rule.
Ultima?
It's Ultima.
How is it Ultima?
It's not Ultima. That's
It's
ridiculous.
Ultima.
Of course it's Ultima.
No, it's not.
Oh god.
Yes, it is. Why would it be Ultima? That's stupid.
It's Ultima.
It's Ultima.
You know what? We need the filler content this week.
Ultima.
Ultima.
Yeah, that's what I've always said.
No. It's the where you're putting the emphasis is wrong. It's on Ultima, not Ultima. You see what I'm saying?
No, but like, isn't that literally the JP pronunciation of the spell though? Like Ultima.
It's like ultimate.
But we're not JP. We're English.
Bharos.
This is English.
What game are
This
we
is
playing?
GL.
This is global. It's not
No,
global.
okay, but I mean, like, but they came up with the name, so I'm thinking,
Holy
like,
shit,
you know,
Hazard, you're on a
maybe
roll today.
It's like all these goddamn weebs infecting Square, so that Aerith is now called Aerith in the new FF7 game, and that hurts my soul because I grew up with Aerith.
Look, Bharos clearly knows what he's talking about.
Woo.
It's Bharos.
Barrel.
I rest my case. Shut up.
Oh, this is
Yeah, we need to let Coton talk for a second.
Sorry, Hazard.
Hazard. This is like that fucking Key and Peele meme skit. Oh man.
Oh, the football players? That's the best one.
No, it's when their teachers like Aaron. They don't know how to pronounce names.
That's so
Oh,
good.
okay.
Okay, but the football one's really, really good.
Oh, I know that one.
This is much better content than the actual units.
Yeah. Sorry, guys, but this is the worst banner and enhancement patch we've seen in a long time, so.
Yeah, and don't fall for the trap that Shadow did, where you get a random rainbow out of a 5 rainbow banner, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you think you're actually gonna get it through the random rainbow on a 5 rainbow banner. Just don't fall for it, because that's what the system is built for. That's why they give you a free one. That's what they did with Dragon Quest 2, just to rope you in.
Bharos, at least the free one for Dragon Quest was good. This one's
Yeah, exactly.
for this banner, the free one was either Arngrim, Lenneth, or Freya, which are all bad. Just so
Yeah.
bad.
I was actually hoping that Arngrim would be a decent DV unit, because he actually has, like, on paper, a really strong mod turn 1, but then, like, it takes 3 ages for him to actually do all his skills, so yeah, it ends up sucking.
Also, his gearing is bad.
I think they should have increased Arngrim's damage by at least 50%. Then he would be decent. He wouldn't be amazing, but he would be a viable finisher.
Look, the common trait for all 3 of the enhancements units that Gumi needed to have fixed their frames. Why?
So,
Yeah.
conspiracy theory now, enhancement guy in global is either dead or on vacation or very, very sick or fired. Because
Hey, you know
he's
what?
not responsible for this nonsense.
No, I agree.
It's got to be the Alim people.
It is definitely a lean people, because this is a copy paste. But I wanna, or yeah, they did increase.
They've
some-
also copy pasted it twice now, by the way, because they accidentally put it in the game like a month ago.
Yeah. True.
Oh, yeah, the data.
Yeah.
So we already had a preview of their idiocy, and they still went forward with it.
But you know what? I want to ask something. So we had this beautiful, so we had this beautiful post about coronavirus from the producer of the game, saying that, you know, we maybe shouldn't expect content as fast as usual. But how is a video game company and a video game publisher affected by corona in such a degree that they're, you know, that we see a notable decrease in
some
production?
cases, it's an issue of, like, if nothing else, you would have issues with graphics, because in a lot of cases, like, your graphic artists use, like, fancy workstations with multiple monitors or whatever at work. So, like, they can do it remotely from home, but if you're working with, like, one small monitor or maybe on a laptop, it can be harder to get your work done efficiently, I would imagine. I'm not an artist, but I
No,
would
no,
think
that
of
that,
switching
that does
from.
make sense because like not all artists actually have a suite set up at home because like it
Yeah.
actually costs serious money. Although like what we're doing at our company is we're actually just letting people take whatever they want from the office home, to set up their shit at home. So
Yeah, I think that's quite common.
I mean, like, yeah, exactly. I'm kind of wondering because the digital industry of any type has a much easier time actually coping with Corona working from home.
No, that's true. That's definitely true. It's just okay. So I work as a programmer, and one of the things is that when it depends on the company. If the company isn't prepared for remote work, it could be a gong show just setting that up for everybody, right? Like everybody needs to have their own whatever. We use Microsoft Teams, or if your team uses Slack or whatever interface that you use, everybody needs to be set in the right page, especially the older management team who don't know how to use this technology. The other aspect is that when you're in a working office environment, like you're all in the same space, communication flows really easily, right? Let's just say you have a question about certain source code, especially when you're working on code that you didn't develop, like Gumi is, right? Gumi's working with code that Alim developed to modify it, change it, or add to it. So I feel like without everybody in the same space, and if Square wasn't ready for this to happen, there could be delays in production. Like I can imagine a
Yeah,
lot
I mean, you have good points, but that's exactly the point, though, that Gumi would have had this communication problem anyway, because their developers are not even close to Alim, meaning that they're going to have to communicate that way anyway. And
It's made much worse, though.
yeah, I mean, well, I'm not going to say much worse. It's like you're still doing this remotely in some way. You're just doing it from your home. And also, let's not forget that both Gumi and Alim are not high man count companies, right? They're not that many. So it's not like, oh, there are these 400 people that need to be coordinated or something. I actually don't know how many they are, but I'm just assuming they're not that many.
We don't know, I guess. Their current
Nah,
office,
it's all just speculation.
but I can imagine a lot of factors.
Like working remotely would also cause some delays. Like if you're all in the same office, you want someone else to do something, you can just call over there or shout over there or just walk over there. But like if you're doing it remotely, you have to send an email, wait for them to reply, and it's a conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a different way of working, but I mean, it's like it's still doable. Anyway, now we've like segmented into like this is how interesting the VP banner is. We're talking about remote working techniques in times of Corona. Okay, this is an excellent example of how shitty this banner is.
Well, we can talk about the actual big news this week. Something that apparently they have been working on for some time, which is the NeoVision's announcement that came out in the last week or so. So who wants to explain it to me? Because I have been way too lazy to actually read this stupid thing, and I really don't care that much.
There is quite a lot to explain.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like that global's so boring. This week we're looking at JP.
I mean, you can just explain it in a way where it works just like in War of the Visions, and you're done.
That's real helpful for me and all the other people that haven't played War of the Visions.
That's their fault.
I can explain it.
I can explain it, or Dream can. I think
Before we start, we could say like Shrek actually did a really nice write up on what exactly a NeoVisions, what NeoVisions is and how it works on Reddit. So search it up if you have any questions.
Yeah, his post is pretty thorough.
But do give us like someone should give us a quick intro, because so we all have the details.
I'll do a quick intro, and then Dream could do a more complicated one. How about that?
Yeah, Trag's post is too long. Give me the TLDR.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but the TLDR hazard is it works less in War of the Visions.
Well, the TLDR is that it's 8-star, but it's not. But like that
Yeah.
that doesn't help at all right now.
No, that's really all I need to know. Like, does anyone need any more information than that?
Technically, Sice did say that they're actually still coded as 7 stars for what it's worth.
So technically, they didn't break their 8-star promise, right?
Not yet.
In the technicalities.
Oh shit! Wait, they had a promise, right? Because I was gonna say, hey, why isn't this 8-star? Because it's just stupid and confusing.
JP said at some point that they wouldn't
Because
do 8
something
star.
bad happened with Brave Frontier after it went to 8-star or something like that.
But that's just ridiculous. That's kind of like no elevators in hotels have the 13th floor.
So if I can go on, NeoVision is not it's a new sort of rarity that's not an 8-star. So there are two different paths. New units that are released NeoVision will only be released in NV rarity. The first one is Remake Cloud. Remake Cloud, when you open it, you will get a reddish crystal, and once you open that, he's a level fully maxed out NeoVision Cloud, and that's it.
And notably, this means you don't need 2 copies of the unit.
Not
No, it's
one
one
copy
and you
to get
get
the
it out of the
NV.
box.
Well, you
Well, I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
technically, you
We'll
would
get
need
there,
a
Cotton.
second one.
Just
We'll get
patience.
We'll get,
your
we'll
train is
get
moving
there,
too
Cotton.
fast.
Patience.
I'm taking control of my train after Hazard ran off on it. Okay.
So, yeah, if you open one copy of the NV unit, that's good. You have all the abilities and such. However, NV units also have a different set of things that they can upgrade. One of the such is their EX levels. So you get up to EX level 3. So EX plus 1, EX plus 2, and EX plus 3. To get to those EX pluses, you need a dupe. For EX plus 1, you need 1 dupe. For EX plus 2, you need 2 dupes. And the last one, I think you need 4 dupes, from what I remember. And not only do you need a dupe, you also need a pearl, or it's a different set of materials that you either get as raid rewards or login rewards or any other ways that the game could give it out to you. So it's a limited quantity material.
And it's a dupe of the NV rarity unit that you pulled directly.
Yes,
So you
specifically.
Pull 5 of them?
9.
9.
Oh my gosh.
It's a bit different because you awaken them with character shards, which the main way to get them is swapping in the copies of that unit. You get 50 shards and a pearl or 2 for each one you exchange, but there are a couple other ways to get the shards as well. You get a few from like the login and the event, and then you can exchange lapis for a bundle of them. So I think with just the lapis guarantee, or maybe even just the event, you can get to EX plus 1 with only pulling a single copy of the new NV unit.
Oh my gosh, it's War of the Visions.
Yeah, it's basically War of the Visions.
But you see, for the new Neo Vision units, you do need to get them to EX plus 1 because that's when they unlock the completely different second skill set.
Not necessarily.
It'll depend on the unit.
It'll depend on the unit. So at EX plus 1, to explain what she's referring to, each of the NV units get something called a Brave Shift. A Brave Shift is a new mechanic where if you go into a Brave Shift, your unit gets totally new abilities and a different material equipment slot. So for example, let's just say you had a TDH, a single target finishing cloud at regular. I'm talking about the remake NV cloud. But if you Brave Shift it, he becomes an AoE chainer with a different equipment slot. So this could mean a lot of, like, one unit could fulfill multiple roles literally through Brave Shift. One of the caveats of Brave Shift if you Brave Shift and use the ability, it's on a 1-turn cooldown. You can't go back to your old form. And I think the form itself, the Brave Shift form itself, is on a 3-turn cooldown. After 3 turns, it just goes back to the old form, and you can't use it again.
It's different per one. So Cloud's one, he will permanently stay in whatever form he's currently shifted to. That's infinite duration.
For the end of the combat and all waves, though. Yeah, you have to keep in mind that he always starts in his non-shifted. Like, a new combat always starts in a non-shifted form.
Yeah, that kind of doesn't matter though, because actually shifting doesn't use an action or anything. You just do it at the start of the turn and then select shifted like moves. But like Tifa and Red, their ones are instead basically like a 2 or 3 turn like powered up state, and then once that expires, they'll go back to their non-brave shift form and then have a cooldown until they can activate again. So yeah, there's sort of 2 different types of Brave Shift.
I guess the explanation is that for some units like Cloud is like an alternate form, while for other units like Tifa and Red is like a trans or a transform lah.
And I would say that for the trans units, those would be probably much more important to get the EX1 for, because the trans doesn't really modify your skill set in the sense it makes you more powerful, so you're gonna just weave it into your normal use.
One of the things that happens on the thing that Bharos just mentioned is that at NV level, you get Brave abilities. So Brave abilities are new, very powerful abilities, 3 to 4, I think, and these abilities can be enhanced up to 5 levels.
It's basically just a new version of ability enhancements or latent abilities, because the materials for those are mostly generic rather than character specific. I think there's a couple character specific, but it's all like I think the specific ones are from like a Vortex boss that's just repeatably fightable, and the generic ones are from like Mulking shops, the same as enhancement crysts.
In other words, it is a lot more busy work.
Yeah, it's a lot more grind.
And one of the things about Brave abilities is that some of them are also Magnus abilities. So JP started adding Magnus abilities to Envy units as well.
Most important question of all, though, is you said that there were two completely separate lists of equipment. Does that mean I have to equip the same unit twice?
Yes.
They can use the
You can
same
copy-paste
gear over both slots.
So you would only have to gear them differently if they actually want different gear.
So if I had an NV unit that was a mage, for example, and then he also had a hybrid brave shift thing, then I would want different gear for them.
And hypothetically, we might get units that like completely switch roles. Like maybe we have a unit that swaps between, I don't know, tank and breaker.
It's AI Katie version 2.
Cecil, guys, Cecil.
Or Cecil changing between Paladin or Dark Knight, or probably War of the Visions Gilgamesh changing between physical and magic damage.
One of the things that they're actually doing with this, and that I really like, is that when you do Brave Shift, you get a better sprite animation, like a different sprite, so it's actually visible. Like the changes is the one. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, like Cloud gets on his motorcycle when he Brave Shifts, I think.
Of course he does.
So if Paladin Cecil really gets like a Brave Shift that puts him into a dark, like I think Dark Knight, that would be amazing. The other aspect to Envy is that vision cards were introduced.
Okay, those vision cards are the best part of it, okay? Have you seen the sprite art? They're adorable!
Yeah, they look so good.
They look so good. So for people that don't know, and Hazard who probably didn't look into it, vision cards are basically another form of Espers. That's the easiest way to explain it. You attach it to a unit.
Or like just another equipment.
Yeah, you attach it to an Envy unit, and they get up to 3 different abilities from the vision card. And it depends on the rarity of the card and of the unit.
Are these cards unit specific, or where do they come from?
You can get like each natural Envy unit will have a specific card that you get when you get them to EX plus 3, which is like a guaranteed way, but also whenever you summon a natural Envy unit, you will get a random vision card, which can include all of the ones available from EX3, so none of them are locked behind that. And then there's also some available, just like some generic ones available through like event shops and stuff.
And vision cards can be leveled up by fusing dupes together, or there are Cactor vision cards where you can level up your vision cards. So it's another layer of equipment growth that they've introduced.
Yeah, they've like increased the complexity incredibly. So not only is there like a new rarity type, the rarity type can be upgraded to 3 EX levels. The rarity type can also equip this new vision card accessory / Esper, and you can also enhance abilities in a different way from normal enhancements on this unit. And you can brave shift the units to a totally different kit. So it's like really upping, and each of these like parts can be leveled, so like different mats for everything.
This isn't even including the bit about old units and what they need to be turned into Envy units. That's a whole other
that's one thing.
essay in and of itself.
Well, that's not a huge thing though. It's just STMR, right?
Oh no, they're like fairly like they have quite a few differences between old and new vision.
New units. Yeah, there's quite a few. There's a lot of difference. So the first difference is that you mentioned STMR. So if you want, let's just say you have Tifa right now and you want to get her into NV, you need a level 120 Tifa with her STMR completed. Then she's eligible.
So that's
then she's eligible for NV. Then after that, if you want to get her to plus EX1, plus EX2, plus EX3, the requirements are double that of regular NV units.
Are they? I didn't think they were.
I remember watching I was watching WinFoxy stream, and it was much more than regular NV units in terms of shards that were required.
Oh,
Okay.
wait. So I have actually 3 7-star Tifas with STMRs. No, sorry, 2 with STMRs and then 1 7-star Tifa.
So one of the things that ends up happening is that if you have one unit with STMR and another one, you're actually losing out. Because
I was gonna ask, like, what happens if can I transform my STMR Tifa to many more shards than just a 7-star Tifa?
Nope, it is the same.
Ooh.
No, that's the unfortunate thing. Creating creating second copies of STMRs loses shard value. Other than that, they're
Rip
preserved.
my 16 Kurasames. Oh my god.
You mean
Although,
rip my
let's not
RAM
pretend
and
Kurasame
Freya
is
that I
getting any-
fed to the trash shop?
Yeah.
I've been telling
Oh,
people
yeah.
for years to not
Yeah,
trust
remember when we
coin
said
5-star bases.
never coin 5-star bases.
I fed them to the trash shop after I started getting like
But
what,
that's just
10
the bad
copy of
news.
Freya and like the 12 copy of RAM, okay?
Sorry, I will never feel bad for you for that.
But that's just the bad news, because there's some good news to this. They increased the rainbow rate to 10%. So you're supposed to get more rainbows from it. And during this event, they actually gave out a free Tifa STMR ticket, free Tifas, and free Red 13s, and so that they would at least be able to get to EX level 1 in terms of the resources that they gave out. In addition, because now rainbow rates are 10%, envy is 1% of you pulling a give in any given banner.
There we go.
So we're back.
And we're back.
We're back to 2016.
1% with no safety net, by the way. So we are back all the way to 2016.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, but let's not overreact here.
So the concern I have is that it's 1%, but we don't know what percent of that is going to be on ban.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, with there only being one natural neo.
Because right now the 5-star banner rates are also terrible. I think it was 3 to 6 is from what I read.
4.5 from what I'm seeing here, because there's 1.5% for Barrett, Tifa, and Red 13.
Okay, so it was something like that. It's still pretty bad.
Yeah, technically that's 7.5 out of 10.
Because they basically, I think they pick the on-banner rate first, and then they set the total rainbow rate just to be high enough so that they feel like people are getting a bunch of stuff. I don't think that they're giving us more off-banner rainbows at the expense of on-banner rainbows. They're just increasing the off-banner rainbow rate so that we get more off-banner stuff for free.
No, but okay. Let's take a step back. Let's not be the pitchfork mob here. Okay, first of all, the on banner rates are higher now. Like they are higher. They are 45% on banner rates. That's higher than what we have now. Second, yes, to get Cloud, which is the most lucrative, and this is probably going to be like, this could be the pattern. I mean, we let's not do the slippery slope shit because like we don't know. But from this banner, the pattern could be that you get like the new envy unit along with old relevant envy units, and so Cloud is 1%. But on a normal banner, that rate would be 1.5. So yes, there's a 50% drop in not a 50% drop. It's a 33% drop of probability of Cloud. So that is significant. But it's not as huge as people are saying it to be, because you still have a 10% on like rainbow rate on the banner as well. So you're gonna get a ton of dupes preparing yourself for future envy shifts as well.
So I heard that they're only going to be making the older unit versions of envy rarity 1 or 2 a month. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yep.
There's like one every 2 weeks currently scheduled, like I think Dark Veritas, Lauren, and Old Cloud Upland. But there may also be, like, in addition to that, ones that come with associated banners, and that might not be included. It might be like one every 2 weeks that isn't tied to a banner plus banner ones.
We've got how many
don't know
rainbows?
yet.
Like 300-ish?
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah, it's gonna take
Yep.
like years. I mean, they're just gonna do it for relevant
That's their
banners.
That's their 10-year plan, Bharos.
I am actually okay with them doing it at a slower pace, because I think that when they did the 7-star batches all at once, we ended up with a lot of units that just never got anything interesting.
Yeah, like Knight Delita.
And I think that I think that they were afraid of introducing too many strong units.
Oh, all right, you can shut up, Bharos. I'll kill you.
I agree with Muspel. I actually really like this schedule, because one of the things that they urged that NV was it was not 8-star, and that it's supposed to go along with 7-star units. And if that's the case,
I don't.
I
think that's the
highly
case.
doubt
I mean,
that, okay.
just look at the units. Like at
well,
EX
they're
plus
urging
3,
it.
Cloud at EX plus 3, Cloud has over 450 base attack.
I've seen what a 4,000 attack Cloud, okay?
EX plus 2 and plus 3 are very much whale territory, especially for the new units. and like for the old ones, there's not much reason to get them to beyond.
I think in
EX1.
terms of pulling strategy, there's a few big changes you have to keep in mind. The first is that for damage dealers, just from looking at the base stats and eyeballing it, my guess, based on some quick napkin math, is that going to EX plus 3 is a damage increase of about 50% just from the stats, and that's not counting anything else like the vision card or getting the unit's STMR or anything else that you get along the way. So I think that when you pull for a damage dealer, you're going to want to hoard a lot and probably pull for somebody and get them to EX plus 3. You don't want to go for just EX plus for just the base version of the unit.
But I mean, it requires so much pulling though, Muspel.
Or maybe plus 2, because plus 3 requires more dupes.
I would disagree with that, but I think plus 1 is enough. Maybe for the new ones, plus 2.
And I think that what you should do is like, so it works like this. So the 5k Lapis bundle gives you EX plus 1 on this banner. I mean, obviously we don't know how future banners will be. And then you also need to pull a copy of the unit. I think it's a much more sounder strategy to do this like 2 times or 3 times a year for a damage dealer rather than absolutely wailing out for 1, because that's going to cost far too much.
And the question, I think, is going to be what do non-DPS units look like with Neovisions? Like, what are their brave shifts? What kind of, like, how important is it to get them to EX plus 1 or plus 2 or plus 3?
Yeah, that's the big question mark. So I was going to say, I am actually super positive about NV. And I know a lot of people like hating on it, but I am super positive solely based on the fact that now pulling a random NV, which is kind of like pulling a random rainbow, is actually not entirely worthless. Because a 6-star unit is absolute shit. Like, you can do nothing with a 6-star unit unless it has like a weird tiny utility like a huge break or a huge imperil or some shit. But normally, like, your 6-star unit is worthless.
That's the thing, Bharos. I'm a bit worried about where they're going with those brave abilities. Like,
yeah, but let's not like speculate.
No, my worry
that's
is that
the
they start
slope.
making the unit's base kit for NV units so bad that they just need their brave abilities to actually be really, really relevant. So they're going to start transitioning towards making people having to pull.
But you get the brave abilities. You mean the brave shifts, right?
Yeah,
not
that
the brave
one.
Abilities.
Yeah, the brave shift. Yeah.
Okay.
I think what Cotton's touching on here is that if you pull Cloud right now in the 2 weeks that this banner is live, it's fine because you're going to get his EX plus 1 guaranteed during that event. The issue is if you're a newer player or if you quit and you came out later and you shitter a Cloud, you need to wait until you pull another Cloud to get it unless there's an event rerun on it.
But that's only true if... Okay. Again, my statement is still true where you're not getting a worthless unit. The NV base Cloud is actually strong.
No, that's definitely true. That's definitely true.
The NV base Cloud, NV base Red, and NV base Tifa are actually really strong units, meaning you're actually getting something, which I think is fantastic. Then yes, okay.
Yeah, but that's like, now, you see, in the future, and knowing how Arngrim is as monetizing as they are.
It could.
Yeah, but let's not speculate. I mean, we have no reason to believe they're gonna shit all over this, except for, experience of 5 years of FFBE. But like, otherwise, we have no reason to believe. No, but I'm also saying that, like, looking at gacha in general, like looking at the genre, this is kind of the direction it's moving in, where you're seeing that you're actually getting a lot of value of your... Wait, did I say it wrong? Gacha?
Genre,
yeah, that's what I said. Gacha genre.
They said genre.
Genre too.
Yeah, I'm tired. Anyway, so it's moving towards this direction where, like, it's no longer you're not getting a useful unit, but rather it's costing an incredible amount to whale out. And I actually think that's like a better way for free to play people, because no longer do you have to pull 2 dupes, because that can be horrible. You can actually get a decent unit on NV. You can actually be happy about a random NV, and that's gonna bring back the joy for me. Like, 7 stars killed the game so much for me in terms of enjoyment, because you know me, I do shit decisions. I actually pull dailies. I don't anymore, but I did. And when you get a random rainbow, you were just not happy anymore. You were just like, oh yeah, great, I got something.
Oh yeah, I was just going to say that overall I'm kind of lukewarm on the system. Like, I like it conceptually, but some of, like, materials being character specific and just the rates of things I'm not so keen on, so I'll wait to see how it develops. But a couple points I wanted to make. The first one was in terms of, like, relative power spike, because just based on some preliminary numbers that are pretty rough currently, but from what we're seeing so far, it seems like these first Neovisions compared to, like, the previous top end 7 stars is maybe like a 50% increase spike on average, which is smaller than 6 to 7 star was, and also smaller than, like, Esther was on GL, and maybe even Axstar on JP. So it's not quite.
Yeah, I was gonna say
large of a spike.
50% is kind of like a normal spike. Yeah. I mean, we've seen 50% spikes recently anyway, like from normal just power spikes in units. So.
And one other thing I was just thinking is there's mention of, like, oh, there's no safety net for it, and, like, in JP that's basically a natural continuation of Fest units being completely unusable, and the new banners, like, not having step-ups, and kind of the guarantees being ridiculously expensive.
Oh, I didn't actually know that continued. So there are no actual step-ups for this banner.
Not currently, I don't think, but I'm thinking that this is purely theorizing at this point, but maybe in GL we could see something like one select ticket for 4 or 5 character shards. That would be like a roughly on par rate of getting them, and that could be our sort of similar to how we have prisms for 8 tickets currently.
Yeah, well, I was talking to a friend yesterday that plays JP, and I actually suggested the same thing. That would be pretty cool in GL if we could exchange our select tickets for shards, and like a huge amount. I actually suggested 20 for
So
EX1.
my concern is that there are aspects of this that I like the idea of units shifting between different forms. That could be some interesting design space that hasn't really been explored. But I don't have a lot of confidence in Alem or Gumi's ability to balance it well. Because if you look at the kinds of things they've done before when they tried to push the power envelope, it just resulted in long periods of awful design. Like, I'm betting that we're going to get some unit that can swap between 2 roles and just negates a lot of trial mechanics or team building constraints, and it'll create tons of issues, and then they'll have to try to design bullshit trials so that it doesn't trivialize everything.
Oh, so you're actually not afraid of it being an unfair system. You're afraid of this. Oh, this is an interesting point, Muspel. So you're afraid of it.
I am afraid of that too, but I think that, like, even if it weren't for those issues, I don't have faith in their ability to design the game around this.
No, I get it. That's a good point. That's a good point. Like, this system is set up so that they could introduce even more destructive game mechanics. We still need to do that podcast episode on destructive game mechanics, actually.
They're going to introduce a tank that can have one gear setup as a physical tank and one gear setup as a magic tank, and swap every turn, just depending on what you need. That's going to happen.
I think the envious new vision system is already trivializing current trials. Like, remember that big behemoth trial that everyone was saying was really, really hard in JP? I think someone two-turned it recently.
Yeah, they did.
It.
Yeah, but Kuja did kind of the same, though, to be honest.
Working on what Muspel said, just going back, I think people, like, when we think about 7 stars, right now 7 stars have, like, stabilized to a certain degree. Like, all the new units, they get some form of TTW or TTH. But way back when 7 stars first started to come out, that wasn't the case, especially for older units. Like, look at old 7-star Beatrix. Like, she has all of her passives are all at the wrong places. Or even like 7-star Gilgamesh, like the old FF5 Gilgamesh. Like, these are, Alem and Gumi had struggled for months, almost a full year, on what to do with these old units. And what I fear is that an NV is going to be an extension of that, in my opinion, because.
But I'm not too afraid of that. They're not introducing new mechanics like TDW or TDH.
No, they are introducing new mechanics with Brave Shift, Brave abilities, and like the cards.
Yeah, but it's not the same thing as you know.
You're right.
Like,
it's worse in terms of complexity.
It's going to be harder to balance, is what I'm saying. Because the idea is that it took them a full year to finally figure out how to get this shit right. And now we've come to a point where we've stabilized and we're getting better we're getting decent units almost every single banner. But now we're going to go back to the days of when old 7-star units were like throwing a dart onto a wall blindfolded. Like, we don't know what we're going to get.
You know what else is going to happen? They're going to introduce units that swap between like chainer and tank, or healer and finisher, and then you just load up your team with 6 support units, tanks, and healers. And then when you're ready, you swap everybody to damage, and the boss just vaporizes.
There is a small consolation here as far as if they're only releasing 1 or 2 new ones a month, at least the old ones, maybe they won't be quite so awful as you were saying, Muspel.
No, wait. But I think you misunderstood, or maybe I misunderstood. But it's like 1 or 2 old units get upgraded to NVs, but it could still be that every banner from now on has an NV unit, though. So it could still be like...
Yes. I'm just saying that it won't be quite as explosive as a 7-1, where we got like a dozen in a banner all at the same time.
Not quite as fast as 10 a month.
And I'm going to be honest, I'm not too afraid of what you're saying, Shadow, where like the brave abilities might be the place where it's difficult to balance. I'm more on Muspel's side here, where I think that the brave shift, given that it could like introduce an entirely different kit and gearing, is where the balance is going to be.
I was saying both. I was referring to both.
No, I'm saying that brave abilities will be hard to balance around too. Like, I'm looking at Clouds now. His level 1 finisher skill, there's a 47.4 times mod that you can triple cast, which is normal, I guess, for current meta. His level 4 brave ability is 100 mod physical finishing skill.
Yeah, but I mean,
100
but that's
mod
just
triple
mods.
cast.
Okay, maybe I'm gonna eat my words, but that's just mods. Okay, that's like making the ability stronger. That won't, that won't make this thing where you can gear for different elemental resistances in your different gear slots, and then you can like shift between them to completely negate weird bosses and shit like that. That's the part I am actually now worried about, and I didn't even think about it before.
Crap! Oh yeah, that is a good point actually. That is a really good point.
So there's going to be like a ton, or like, full evasion. So you have full evasion in the second slot for everyone. And then it's like, that the big AoE is coming, so you just switch to full evasion. There's going to be a ton of that to think about, like combined with the destructive mechanics we have right now.
Yeah, one thing I was just going to say is Shadow was mentioning how things have finally stabilized and they've finally learned how to get it right and stuff. But we did just spend like the first half or the start of this banner talking about how freaking boring the latest banner was because they're so generic.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too.
So it brings up a lot of new and interesting things.
To be fair, we weren't calling them generic.
Yeah,
we were calling them...
new ones are generic.
Okay, yeah, we were calling them generic, yes.
No. Unique, powerful, synergy.
I was just going to say, like, for me, I knew they were going to put in some system, and it seems like they've put some thought into it, and at least there's a lot of different new things. I get that there's reasons to worry. There's always going to be reasons to worry. But the thing that comforts me is that gacha games are always going to be terrible as far as the gacha portion is concerned. It's always going to be awful. So for me, it's just if I still enjoy playing the game, if I can still enjoy the units, then I think, I'll still be in a good spot.
Speaking from experience, Hazard.
Yeah, and I think we're gonna be able to enjoy it more, to be honest. Like, I think that given that you don't have to keep pulling these dupes, because so if this trend continues, you're gonna have to pull a cloud on banner, and then you're gonna need to have 5k lapis over. You're gonna get your EX1, meaning that you're gonna get what is today the equivalent of a non-STMR'd 7-star.
That's assuming they still keep the 5k thing to get them to X1.
Yeah. I'm not too worried because, again, the system is very, very similar to War of the Visions, and that's exactly how War of the Vision works. Like, you always, like, with the unit banner, you get a special shop where you can buy shards for Visior for that unit, which is the Lapis of War of the Visions.
Hazard, did you already speak, or can I...
Go for it.
Okay. In terms of Final Fantasy Brave Exvius as it is right now, the gacha system is comparatively very nice, in my opinion, because if you want a good unit, theoretically you only need 2 copies of it, which is very plausible in any given scenario if you pull on that banner, especially with the way our UOC works compared to JP.
Yeah, tell Lemon that. Like, it's very plausible, Lemon, to not get 11 Palums and Porums and actually get 2 Cecils.
But the point that I'm trying to make here is that other gacha games, like War of the Visions is a great one, there's layers of gacha, and that you not only need to pull for the unit, you need to pull for several copies of the said unit and equipment and their espers and whatever else. So in a sense,
I'm glad through all this there's still just one gacha.
In a sense, FFB still only has one level of gacha, except in this version, the new level of gacha that was introduced was actually not NV, but the cards. Because that's the only new level of gacha that was reintroduced. And I think so far it's okay.
Yeah, but that's still attained through the same gacha.
Yeah, it is, exactly. So it's not really as bad as people are making out to be.
Unlike STMR's, specific cards aren't locked behind specific
Exactly.
units. You can still get them randomly and then level them up with the character cards.
Yeah, that's really nice. But, okay, I want to also say something. A mistake we often make in this pod, because I'm the only person not working like that in this pod, and that's we're always kind of assuming the hoarding and hard pull mentality, which, like, I wasn't up until now. And I'm still not sure I am. But a lot of players are also playing. But a lot of players are also playing casually. They're like spending their tickets here and there. They're doing they're probably doing dailies at least on the banners they like, and sure they're probably trying to save up some. And those players, I fully believe with the new system, are going to have a much more pleasant experience because yes, like. I don't think the game has changed much for the hoarders. The hoarders still have the same thing, where like the hoarders had to expect of like doing at least 2 laps on a banner or 3 laps, which is like 50 to 75k lapis, to get like a 7-star guaranteed. But and it's kind of the same now. You're gonna have to spend a lot of lapis to pull a cloud, and then you're gonna have to spend 5k more for a shard. Whereas the people that kind of casually play, that throw a ticket and they're like, oh, it's a red crystal. Oh my god. And then it opens and it's cloud. You got a great unit. You should be so happy. You can use it for DV. You can use it for trials. That's joy. And I like that joy is coming back. I'm going to be honest.
Oh, bless your heart, Bharos. I hope it's true.
Well, I mean, I know it is for me because I played the game like that before. Like, I played the game like that before, and this is going to be a much happier experience for me.
We've gotten a nice array of viewpoints.
I mean, I guess a different perspective. Like, for hoarders like me, I prefer the old system where, like, there is a guarantee that you just need X amount of lapis to actually get your 7-star, to get the first copy of the unit. Then you will see a prism and it easily get the 7-star. Like, if they've pulled the new system from JP as it is now with no safety net, with a 1% rate, I'm not really sure I'm going to be happy about it.
But I don't think that's going to happen. That's not going to happen because our banner system has completely changed from JP. Like right now, JP doesn't have any step ups, and so what happens in JP is that you do 5k 10+1s, and on the I think 5th one it's free. So after 20k lapis, you get a free 10+1. That's the only thing that's there. So I remember watching a stream, somebody spending like 70k lapis and not getting a single cloud. So you're right, there is.
Was that Furcula?
No, it wasn't Furcula. Furcula got it pretty quickly. So did Vegan.
How does Envy work though, Shadow? Like the rarity itself. I mean, like, how do you pull dupes of NVs? Because is it like if you get a red crystal on the banner, it's guaranteed to be cloud, or could it be like any NV?
Well, there's only one NV right now, so every red crystal is a cloud now.
Only natural NV units will be pulled as NV from gacha.
Yeah, so we don't know. Like, we don't know. So, like, theoretically, the next banner could be that like NV rate is 3%. Whereas on banner NV rate is 1%. So we don't know these details yet, right?
We don't know yet because there isn't more than one natural NV yet.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. I get it now. Okay.
Because like Tifa and Red can't pull at NV rarity.
No, exactly. They are like a normal rainbow. So we're technically getting like a 1% rate of a new rainbow type on banner, and then we don't know, like, next banner the 1% might actually be higher because you might be able to pull other NV units.
I have a feeling it'll be lower.
Maybe,
Like,
yeah.
Paladin can't be that generous, can they?
Well, let's see. I mean, 1% is still very low. Like, I mean, I understand it for this banner, but future banners, 1% NV total sounds very low. There's no point in creating a whalish system unless you have the incentive to keep whaling because you got this random unit that you didn't think you were gonna get, and now you feel like, oh yeah, now I have to max this unit too. So yeah. But I don't know. Anything can happen. I mean, Elim has let us down many times before, so let's see.
And we'll see if they'll let us down again, which they will.
We'll definitely have to see how it develops. Oh boy, real vote of confidence. Anyway, I think that's pretty much us for this week. So thank you for listening to this episode of the JP exclusive podcast, and we'll see you all next week.
Well done, Dream. Well done.
Cue the song.